Every single one of us says we want to be successful, but the truth is, success only answers to those who are willing to go beast mode. Eric Thomas, known as the hip-hop preacher, doesn't just talk about motivation, he lives it. He teaches us that dreams don't work unless you do, and that discipline, sacrifice, and relentless action are the keys to greatness. This speech isn't about hype, it's about unlocking the inner beast inside you, the part of you that refuses to quit, refuses to settle, and refuses to be average. Today, you're gonna learn how to stop making excuses, flip the switch, and go all in on your goals. Because Beastmode is the only mode that leads to success. When I talk about beast mode, I'm not talking about something flashy or a quick burst of motivation that fades after a day or two. I'm talking about a fundamental shift in the way you approach your life. Most people operate on a cycle of ups and downs. They give effort when they feel good, when things are convenient, when the environment supports them. But as soon as they get tired, distracted, or discouraged, their energy collapses. And that's the difference between mediocrity and greatness. Greatness doesn't belong to the person who works when it feels good. It belongs to the one who has made a decision, an unshakable commitment that no matter how they feel, they're gonna show up and give everything they've got. Think about it from a psychological perspective. Human beings are wired to conserve energy, to avoid pain, to take the easy path. That's our survival instinct. But survival and success are not the same thing. Survival will keep you alive. Success requires that you push beyond the natural resistance of your own mind. When you enter beast mode, what you're really doing is reprogramming yourself. You're training your mind to recognize discipline as the default, to see effort as non-negotiable. You're telling yourself, I am no longer ruled by my feelings. I am ruled by my purpose. Philosophically, this is about order and chaos. Chaos is the part of life that pulls you toward laziness, excuses, and stagnation. Order is the structure you impose on yourself, waking up early, working late, pushing harder than what's comfortable. To live in beast mode is to consciously choose order, not because it's easy, but because without it, your life drifts aimlessly into chaos. And the tragedy of that drift is that it doesn't just cost you your dreams, it costs you your potential. So the real question is not whether you can succeed. The real question is, are you willing to demand from yourself the level of discipline, sacrifice, and intensity that success requires? Most people aren't. And that's why only a few ever break through. Beast mode is not about being better than anyone else. It's about being better than the weaker version of yourself that wants to quit. Decide today which version of you is going to win. One of the hardest truths people have to face is that success and comfort cannot coexist. They pull in opposite directions. Comfort is about ease, safety, and familiarity. It's about doing what feels good in the moment. But success is about sacrifice. It requires you to give up what is easy in exchange for what is meaningful. And meaning always comes with a cost. Psychologically, human beings are attracted to short-term rewards. That's why we procrastinate, why we scroll endlessly on our phones, why we hit snooze instead of getting up. Our brains are wired to chase immediate comfort. But here's the paradox: the more you indulge in comfort today, the more discomfort you invite into your future. If you skip the workout now, you inherit poor health later. If you avoid the hard work today, you inherit regret tomorrow. Sacrifice is not punishment, it's investment. You give something up now so that your future self can reap the benefits. Philosophically, this ties into the idea of responsibility. The ancient truth echoed in every wisdom tradition is that a meaningful life is a life of responsibility. You sacrifice for your family, for your career, for your potential. You delay gratification because you recognize that discipline today creates freedom tomorrow. And when you choose comfort over sacrifice, you're not just avoiding hard work, you're avoiding the responsibility of becoming who you are meant to be. And here's the deeper point: comfort doesn't just keep you where you are, it slowly pulls you backwards. Life is never static, you're either growing or you're decaying. Every time you choose comfort over sacrifice, you reinforce weakness. Every time you choose sacrifice over comfort, you reinforce strength. It's like training a muscle. Discipline grows stronger the more you exercise it. So the question becomes, what are you willing to give up? Because make no mistake, something will be sacrificed. Either your comfort today or your potential tomorrow. That's the deal life offers, and you don't get to escape it. If you want to live an extraordinary life, you must learn to love sacrifice more than you love comfort. Because comfort is temporary, but the rewards of sacrifice echo for a lifetime. Pain is unavoidable. That's a fact of life. Every human being, regardless of background, wealth, or status, will experience suffering. The question isn't whether pain will come, but what you will do with it when it does. Most people treat pain as a signal to stop. They see difficulty, disappointment, and failure as evidence that they should quit. But in reality, pain is one of the most powerful teachers you will ever encounter, if you learn to listen to it. Psychologically, pain is feedback. It's your body and your mind alerting you to a weakness, to an area where growth is required. Think about working out. The soreness you feel after lifting weights isn't a sign of failure, it's a sign of adaptation. Your muscles are tearing and rebuilding stronger. Life operates by the same principle. Emotional pain, financial setbacks, rejection, these are not merely obstacles, they are opportunities for growth. They are the resistance that strengthens your character. The problem is that most people misinterpret the signal. Instead of seeing pain as part of the process, they see it as punishment. They think, oh, if it hurts, I must be on the wrong path. But that's simply not true. The path of growth is supposed to hurt. Transformation isn't gentle, it's demanding. It strips away your illusions, your excuses, and your false sense of security. Philosophically, pain can even be seen as a necessary ingredient of meaning. Without struggle, there is no victory. Without loss, there is no appreciation. Without hardship, there is no strength. In this way, pain is not an enemy to be avoided. It is an ally to be embraced. When you learn to see it this way, pain becomes fuel. Every setback becomes energy to push harder. Every failure becomes a lesson that sharpens your vision. So the question is, will you use your pain or will you be used by it? Because those are the only two options. If you let it, pain will break you, shrink you, and convince you to settle for less than you're capable of. But if you decide to face it, harness it, and let it drive you, pain becomes the very thing that propels you to greatness. Motivation is a fragile thing. It comes in waves. It spikes when you hear an inspiring message or achieve a small win, and then it disappears the moment life gets difficult. People who depend on motivation alone never achieve anything lasting because they are waiting to feel like doing the work. And the hard truth is this: if you only act when you feel motivated, you will spend most of your life standing still. Discipline, not motivation, is the engine of achievement. Psychologically, discipline rewires your relationship with action. Instead of relying on feelings to guide behavior, you establish habits that function independently of mood. You wake up early not because you feel like it, but because it is what you do. You train your body, you sharpen your mind, you execute on your responsibilities, not when it's convenient, but because you have made a binding contract with yourself. This shift is liberating because it removes the constant negotiation between comfort and effort. The decision has already been made. You act regardless of how you feel. Philosophically, discipline represents order. Motivation is chaotic. It rises and falls unpredictably. Discipline is structure, consistency, and control. It is what allows human beings to transform intention into reality. Without it, your goals remain fantasies. With it, even the most ambitious vision becomes achievable step by step. And here's something people often overlook: discipline actually creates freedom. The person who avoids discipline in the name of freedom eventually becomes a slave to impulses, distractions, and weaknesses. But the person who embraces discipline builds a life of autonomy. They can trust themselves. They don't rely on external forces to push them forward because they have trained their own willpower into something reliable and strong. When you look at the difference between those who succeed and those who quit, it's not talent, intelligence, or luck. It's discipline. The willingness to keep showing up day after day, long after the motivation has vanished. So stop asking yourself if you feel like it. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Commit to discipline. Because when discipline takes over, progress is no longer optional, it's inevitable. Every vision you hold for your life comes with a price tag. That's something most people don't want to admit because it forces them to confront the uncomfortable reality that dreaming is easy but execution is costly. Anyone can imagine a better future. Anyone can visualize success. But the reason only a handful of people ever reach it is because they're the ones willing to pay what the vision demands. And it always demands more than you think. Psychologically, this is the principle of trade-offs. Every choice you make involves an exchange. When you invest time, energy, and focus in one direction, you sacrifice the possibility of doing something else. That's unavoidable. The tragedy is that many people want the rewards of success without the sacrifices required to obtain them. They want health without discipline, wealth without hard work, and influence without responsibility. But life doesn't operate on discounts. You don't get to bargain with destiny. The price is fixed, and you either pay it or you don't receive the outcome. Philosophically, this is about justice. The universe has a strange way of rewarding those who honor the process and punishing those who seek shortcuts. If you refuse to sacrifice, you end up sacrificing anyway. Only the cost is regret, mediocrity, and wasted potential. But if you embrace sacrifice willingly, the return is growth, fulfillment, and the realization of your vision. And here's the deeper truth: the bigger your vision, the greater the cost. A small dream requires small sacrifices. A great dream demands everything. That's why most people abandon their vision, not because it was impossible, but because they weren't willing to give up what was necessary. Comfort, relationships, time, even parts of your identity. You will have to lay them down if you want to rise to a higher level. So ask yourself, what is your vision worth to you? Because if it's not worth discomfort, discipline, and sacrifice, then it's not really a vision. It's just a wish. And wishes don't change the world. At some point, talk has to end. Vision, passion, even discipline. None of it matters if you don't act. Too many people spend their lives planning, preparing, dreaming, but never moving. They're always waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect opportunity. But perfection never comes. What separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck is not brilliance or luck. It's relentless execution. The ability to wake up day after day and take action. Not once in a while, not when it's convenient, but consistently regardless of the obstacles. Psychologically, execution builds momentum. Action compounds in the same way that small investments grow into large returns. Each step, no matter how small, creates evidence that you are moving forward. And that evidence strengthens your belief, making it easier to take the next step. Conversely, hesitation feeds doubt. The longer you wait, the more your mind convinces you that you're not ready, that you should hold back, that maybe the dream isn't possible. Relentless execution silences the doubt because it replaces it with proof. Philosophically, this is about responsibility for your potential. You are accountable not just for what you do, but for what you could do and choose not to. Every day you fail to execute, you are actively deciding against your own growth. And in that sense, inaction is not neutral, it is destructive. It wastes time, erodes confidence, and diminishes the power of your vision. Execution also demands humility. You won't always get it right. You will fail, miscalculate, and stumble. But failure in motion is infinitely more valuable than perfection in theory. Because failure teaches, failure sharpens, failure moves you forward. The person who executes relentlessly will always outpace the person who waits endlessly. So the challenge is simple but severe. Do the work. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel inspired. Today. Then wake up tomorrow and do it again. That's how breakthroughs happen, not in grand gestures, but in small, relentless acts repeated over time. At the end of the day, success isn't complicated, but it is costly. It demands a beast mode mindset that refuses to quit, a willingness to sacrifice comfort for growth, the courage to use pain as fuel instead of an excuse, the discipline to keep going long after motivation fades, the recognition that every vision has a price that must be paid in full, and the relentless execution to turn dreams into reality. This is not theory, it is the law of achievement written into the very structure of life. And so the choice lies with you. Will you settle for average, or will you step into beast mode and give everything you have to the life you were created to live? Because the truth is, greatness will never come knocking. It must be pursued with fire, sacrifice, and unbreakable resolve.